everybody, and welcome back to Dad's Diner and the Fab Feral 5 kitchen. You know, I am a sucker for sweet and spicy, pretty much anything. And when my daughter brought home a recipe that she asked me to try out in the Fab Feral 5 test kitchen, it immediately became one of our staple menu items that we have very regularly in the house. And so tonight I'm going to make a spicy maple chicken with roasted broccoli and roasted red potatoes. Now I'm going to be leveling up a little bit tonight in that I'm cooking about 2 pounds of chicken, and that's more than I can eat tonight for sure. I'll also be cooking a larger quantity of side dishes, the potatoes and the broccoli. This will give you a feel for what a full family meal might look like. Now this could potentially feed my family of 7, but it may not even be enough for that. But the nice thing is I'll have plenty of leftovers for the rest of the week. I have here 2 chicken breasts that I've cut into thin slices, and I've patted these dry just to get all of the moisture off. I've got a paper towel underneath as well. As you can see, I'm using my trick of a wax paper sandwich wrap to protect my cutting board from any chicken juices that might fall. So I'm sure that all of you have this multitasker in your kitchen. It's a gallon Ziploc bag. For this one, I've cut 2 sides of this bag so it folds open. I'm going to use this to slide these chicken breasts into, which gives me a nice clean surface to just pound these out just a little bit. So what this will do is break up the strands of fibers in the meat itself and provide a tenderizing effect. I don't want to get too crazy with this. I don't want to really rip apart those fibers. I just want to tenderize them. Some of my slices are a little bit thinner than others, so they won't require as much pounding. But I do want to give each of them a little bit of action with the mallet here, just to make sure that we get some nice tender chicken. So now that my chicken is tenderized, I'll start building the pan that will roast the chicken as well as the broccoli and potatoes. Now I have a hotel pan that I'll be using, but you can use a sheet pan, a lipped jelly roll pan, anything like that. Just needs surface area to be able to lay out the chicken as well as layer in the broccoli and potatoes in the same pan. I'm going to put a little non-stick spray on the bottom of this. You can see that I've got my parchment inside the pan. And I'll just lay out these chicken breasts. I told you I was leveling up tonight. There's not going to be any room left in here for my vegetables or my potatoes, so I'll have to do a second pan. I'll put them in the oven and rotate them through the cooking process. This chicken is thin enough that it's going to cook faster than the potatoes and broccoli, so I need to start on that so I can get those in the oven first. For the broccoli, I prefer it a little bit rustic, so I just like to tear off the stems here and use just the uneven end surfaces as part of the browning that happens. I've already cut off the bottom inch or so of the root. I'll cut another piece off here. I don't even mind eating this middle section here. It's flavorful, it's tender. I like it. And we'll just break these apart and have a few smaller pieces. Okay, back to my multitasker in the kitchen. Another gallon Ziploc bag. Not the same one that had that chicken in it, no worries there. So I'm just going to throw these broccoli pieces into this bag. And hit this with a little olive oil. I want this to have a nice coating of oil, so when it goes in the oven, that oil combined with the heat of the oven will really work to saute, honestly, this broccoli in the oven. I'm going to go in with a couple of pinches of kosher salt. Close this up. I like to keep a little bit of air in here. Just gives me the ability to move this around. So now that I've got my broccoli tossed in oil and salt, I've layered it on a second baking sheet. I want to make sure that I've got good surface contact across all this broccoli. I'm leaving one half of this open because this is where I'll put the red potatoes. Now I'm dicing these red potatoes pretty small because I want to make sure that they get done about the same time as the broccoli does. And potatoes, depending on their size, could potentially take a little longer to cook. Now you can see this is a pretty large serving of potatoes here. I never worry about having too many potatoes. They can be used for so many things, especially after they're cooked. Okay, my potatoes are back in my Ziploc bag, the same one I used to toss the broccoli. And I'm going to go ahead and go in with just a little more olive oil. And another hit of salt. And zip it back up and give it a toss. Again, I'm looking for an even coating of oil across these potatoes. The nice thing about using a bag is it's mess-free. If you're in a bowl and trying to toss it or stir it, you're getting pieces and parts and oil all over the counter. This is nicely contained right inside the bag. A little Fab Feral 5 Dad's trick here. Now that my potatoes are coated in oil and salt, right onto the pan they go. So I'm just going to ensure that these are all spread out fairly evenly. Again, I want good surface contact on the pan. That's going to help them crisp and brown while they're in the oven. And I will put these into the oven first and give them a head start on the chicken. Meanwhile, I'll prepare the topping for the chicken. I have my oven preheated to 425. I'm going to put these on the top of the oven, the top rack. And then I'll put the chicken on the lower rack. Meanwhile, I'm going to prepare my chicken, and in about 15 minutes, I'll slide the potatoes and broccoli down to the lower rack and put the chicken on the upper rack. Here's where things start to get fun and turns this meal into something special. So as you remember, I've got my chicken laid out in my pan here, and on top of this, I want to just give it some seasoning. So I'll just sprinkle some salt and pepper over the top of the chicken breasts. Now this could go into the oven and just bake like this with salt and pepper and it would be delicious. But here's where this turns into spicy maple chicken. So on top of this seasoned, and when I say seasoned, it's just salt and pepper at this point, chicken, I'm going to add some sour cream to each of the chicken breasts. Now I don't need this to be very thick, it just needs to coat the top of each chicken breast. So I have my chicken all topped with sour cream. That will be the binder for what is the breading to come next. Now you can use Greek yogurt instead of sour cream if that's what you have in your fridge, or if you prefer. It's the same taste profile and it works very well. I've done that as well. So just setting the chicken with sour cream aside for a moment, I'm going to build the topping that will go on top of that chicken. In a mixing bowl of some sort, I'm going to put a half cup of panko and 1 tablespoon of my seasoning. Now this seasoning, I'll actually make this a heaping tablespoon. Now this seasoning is 1 part onion powder, 1 part garlic powder, 1 part paprika, and 1/3 part cayenne pepper. To the panko and seasoning, 1 tablespoon of olive oil and 1 tablespoon of softened butter. And I may have been measuring with my heart on that olive oil and butter. Just to help that butter along, I've given it about 15 seconds in the microwave. And I've incorporated that all together, and what you have here is your topping for the spicy maple chicken. We'll bring the chicken back in and just sprinkle some of this topping on each. I think you can already see the finished dish coming together right in front of your eyes here. I'm just going to tap down this topping so I can make sure that it is sticking very good to that sour cream that's under there. Again, that's the binder that's going to help the breading or the panko crust stick to the chicken and brown in the oven. I've had the broccoli and potatoes in the oven for about 10 or 15 minutes. I want to give them a little more time to make sure that they're nice and tender, because when this chicken goes in, it's going to cook fast at 425. These are thin slices, And it should only take 15 or 20 minutes in the 425 oven to finish these chicken breasts. My broccoli and potatoes have been in the oven for about 20 minutes, so I'm going to move the pan to the bottom shelf and go ahead and put my chicken on the upper shelf, and I'll check that in about 15 minutes. Meanwhile, it's time to prepare the sauce that's going to take this dish over the top. I have my trusty old-fashioned frying pan that I use for a saucepan, and I've got that starting to heat up over medium-low heat. So this is a pretty simple preparation. I've got a half cup of maple syrup, and I'm going to add about a tablespoon of oil, and I've got 2 tablespoons of red pepper chili flakes and a half a teaspoon of salt. Now this is going to give me the sweet and the spicy and the salty all together in one sauce that's going to be drizzled over the top of that chicken. The chicken's been in the oven for about 20 minutes now, and it's ready, but I want the topping to get a little more crispy and a little more browned. I've pulled the vegetables out. They were in the oven for about 40 minutes total, and they're ready to go. You can see that the broccoli's nice and crispy, and the potatoes have started to brown. These are perfect. This chicken smells delicious, and I'm going to pull it out of the oven now so you can take a look at it. You may not be able to see this completely because of the lip of this pan. In fact, let me just tip this up a little bit. But once I plate this, you'll see how amazing this looks, and I can tell you already, it's going to taste amazing too. Let's plate this up. We've got perfectly brown potatoes, crispy broccoli, and that chicken with the topping and the seasoning, and of course, the spicy maple on top. This is delicious. But don't take the camera's word for it. Take my word for it. That chicken is so tender, perfectly done. The sweet and spicy of that sauce, oh my. This will be on your menu at least once a month if you give it a try. Please do. Until next time, from Dad's Diner and the Fab Feral 5 Kitchen, order up!